Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. Joining me is Alex Baggers. Manchester United 0, Chelsea 0. Thanks for joining us. Thanks. Been the review. We'll have the fan cams. I'm only joking, but it may as well be because that was pretty much a ball fest. It was. Not? Other than a couple of moments where Mendy pulled off a couple of good saves, both from Marcus Rashford, one in the first half, one in the second half. A good block by Thiago Silva on Edinson Cavani, but not a lot to shout home about, Mr. Baggers.
No, not in the slightest, really. I think that the starting 11 was a bit conservative. I think that...
Like yourself?
Like my... I didn't, did I? Bit conservative.
Like
we'll move swiftly on from that.
Don't let me throw you. Go on, son. Get into the stats.
Gone now.
The stats are up. The stats are up. Go on.
Fuck him.
You can do this.
Make America great again. No, hang on. United had 14 shots.
Oh, the stats have gone now.
Stats have gone.
Perfect time, and he's just took them away.
There it is. There's our conservative start 11 with Donald Trump, Boris Johnson. No, got David De Gea in goal. It was quite... I don't know.
The Fred and McTominay, no Pogba, no Van der Beek.
It wasn't needed today in the end.
It didn't feel, and also, he started with Daniel James and Juan Mata. Neither of those two. I mean, Mata had a shot.
That kind of sums up.
Yeah, I'm trying to be positive, and I love Juan Mata.
Yeah.
But didn't do anything. Marcus, not one of his better games. At least he managed to test the keeper a couple of times. By the time we brought on Pogba and Cavani, when you want that impetus, when you want that sort of lift, and Mason as well, the game had almost already fizzled out.
Yeah,
they couldn't quite get us going to the levels we needed.
I think the thing Newcastle last week was they are a poor team compared to Chelsea, and bringing on Pogba, bringing on Van der Beek and all that, it raised us up a little bit more. It gave us that little bit of extra spark. Whereas bringing them players on today, I think that Chelsea still had enough really to deal with it. They weren't really threatened, but like I said, we did test the keeper a couple of times. The keeper's made a couple of really, really good saves, as in saves that have kept him in the game. I think that out of all the signings that Chelsea have made, the millions and millions they spent this summer, that's probably going to be their most important one, because I wasn't really impressed with Kai Havertz today. I thought Timo Werner, we mentioned before the game about his pace, Lindelof and Maguire up against Timo Werner. He didn't really threaten us in behind at all as well. So, the goalkeeper for them has made a massive difference today, making some very good saves. We have got a super chat before I moved on. Ross Murphy, probably the worst Man United-Chelsea match I've ever watched. Both teams look like they set up not concede. You never watched, then, the one after we won the title in 2008 when... Chris Eagles, Dong Fanzu started.
Were they famous at the
it was 2007. Yeah, the Guard of Honour.
The other one as well, game. David Moyes' first home game was against Chelsea, and that was a 0-0. Very boring. Yeah, it wasn't a great game. You got the stats there, you can read them because my eyesight's like an old man's.
Manchester United with 14 shots, Chelsea with 6, 4 on target for Manchester United, only the 1 for Chelsea. 50% possession each. United did grow into that, and kind of Chelsea did sit further and further back.
At one point, it was like 7. I think the first 10 minutes, it was 75%.
It was very much
possession to Chelsea.
Yeah. Pass accuracy, 82% United, 83% Chelsea. Not much difference. No clear chances from either team. No one really creating much clear cut. Yellow cards, 3 to United, 1 to Chelsea. Corners, we had 9. Didn't really put anything into the box to threaten. 2 offsides again. Just a boring game.
What
really.
Are people saying in the comments? What's the
there's a lot of people
feeling amongst the
Manchester
United
There was a lot towards
faithful.
The end of the game as well, saying free Van der Beek, saying that he needs to be playing more often and get him onto the pitch. And you can kind of argue that, but I don't think that starting Bruno. We had enough creativity there to do something today, and there is a balance. We can't just play Van der Beek, Pogba, Bruno. You can't do that every single game or any games really. We have to have some kind of balance in there. I think that you can understand the McTominay, Fred. They play well in midweek. They do protect the back four really well. And I think they did that well today. Again, maybe Van der Beek's the one that could have come on to change the game. But I thought all attacking subs, bringing on 2 strikers in Greenwood and Cavani, bringing on Paul Pogba. We went to a 3 going forward again. We'd looked to push the game, but it just wasn't enough today. It was boring.
Guys, do get involved in the comments. Let us know what you thought of the game. Who do you think played well for United? Who needs to do a little bit better? Well, let us know what you made of Ollie's tactics as well. Did he leave it too little too late, bringing on the likes of Edinson, Cavani, Paul Pogba and Mason Greenwood? Or after the last home game we lost 6-1, was it a case of just getting a point and getting a clean sheet and maybe just stifling the Chelsea team a bit? Just let us know what you think. I mean, we should be winning our home games. I'm not going to be happy about a point at home to a Frank Lampard team, but are we, is it that bad in grand scheme of things? What are people saying?
A couple more comments here saying, Jamie said, surprised to see no fullbacks on the bench, Teller's possibly injured. Also, if you offered us 2 wins and a draw in the last 3 games, we would have all taken it. And I think I agree with that. I think even, again, this is kind of the start to this season with the losing to Crystal Palace and then obviously the Tottenham performance. I think what's happened is that we're trying almost chasing the season a little bit, even though everyone else has kind of dropped points. I think we are chasing the season a little bit, where we kind of need to win these games a bit more now, because we've dropped points against lower down teams. But I think that a point against Chelsea is never the worst result. We should have done better today. I don't think they were anything special. We probably should have done a little bit better, but it's not the worst performance. They're not a bad team, so a point isn't the worst thing. A couple of people saying our home record this season is shocking, but consider the run of fixtures we have, we're doing well. I think there is a bit of context to it. You look at everyone's home record this season. Everyone seems to be struggling a little bit at home, whether it's the lack of fans, whether it's the lack of routine of getting there. We don't know what it is, but something's not quite right.
We were talking about on a watch along. That for me is a sort of game where, especially when Cavani comes on, the crowd's giving you that lift, everyone's buzzing. Yep. You go back to that City game, right? The last game fans were in Old Trafford. Without fans, that's not 2-0. I'm telling you now, It's not like those last 10 minutes at United at Old Trafford was buzzing as it's been for years. Yep. And it sort of gives everyone a lift. The players must obviously feel it as well. And it does still at times have that training ground feel to it. And just, I don't know, it's just, it's just, I don't want to miss the cliche, but there's a banner there that the TRA put that says football is nothing without fans. And it feels like that when you're watching these games. You think, is this really United versus Chelsea in a league like this where it's sort of, it's opened up. There's not going to be a run. There isn't so far a runaway leader where we've got, the Scousers or City winning every game. And you think there's an opportunity there and it's not really happening. It just, I don't know, it just leaves a bit of a sour taste in the mouth when you see games like that and you think, just wish we was at Old Trafford. Wish when Cavani makes his debut, wish we can sort of, show Marcus Rashford, who everyone's in love with, rightly so, our appreciation, and you can't, and it is a bit frustrating. But that doesn't excuse that performance because I think by and large it wasn't good enough. One player I want to ask you about. Sorry, go on. I've got some quotes here. I've just been. What's he said? Here we go.
Solskjaer said that if that Stretford end is full, we might get some help and get the ball over the line.
I agree. I think it makes a difference, and it's like people knock the atmosphere at Old Trafford, but recently, especially as I mentioned to TRA, the atmosphere's been a lot better. Just before, obviously, we were stopped being allowed in games, and it's games like that are frustrating because I often think that I know everyone doesn't have fans in the ground. I know it's like, well, no one's got fans, so you can't just say that. But United's away support is fantastic. You've been at United away, and a lot of the time, United's away fans outsing the home team. And United's home support is getting better, so I think it has hurt us a little bit. And that was the sort of game where, as always pointed out, the Stretford end would have made a massive difference. I wanted to ask you about a couple of players. Victor Lindelof, what do you make of his performance today? I thought he did all right today.
Again, this is the kind of thing, especially with Lindelof and Maguire, is that games like today where they just do the job and they have good performances. They don't do anything special, stand out, last-ditch tackles, winning. They weren't under too much pressure, but they did anything that got played through on the floor, anything where there was a foot race with Werner, Lindelof dealt with very well. I think Wan-Bissaka again did well again today with plenty of tackles as he's been doing since he signed for Manchester United. I think that back four did really well today. They limited Chelsea in a very expensive front line of Chelsea to very, very little chances, and that might have been them not playing their best football. But we didn't really get threatened too much.
One player that will be happy today is David De Gea. It's a clean sheet, and this season he's having a decent season, I think. And I think there was massive question marks around him. By myself, me and you did a debate where I was like, bring Dean Henderson in the summer. I was like, right, it's time to give Dean Henderson a chance. And I think so far I've been proven wrong because I think David De Gea has been, he's almost back to his best. I know he didn't have a lot to do today, but as a goalkeeper, you'd want a clean sheet, and he's not had many of them this season, so he'll be happy with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think he did well today. again, didn't really get tested too much. He claimed what he needed to in the air, which is all you're going to want from your goalkeeper. Like you said, I was a bit unsure with this Henderson coming back whether he was going to get more minutes. But wait to see. Maybe he'll get a game against Leipzig. That might be an oddball to throw in there. Maybe he gets that game. I don't know, but they look good. There's a couple of comments in here saying Chelsea parked the bus, which I think towards the end of the game they did. And I think that there's a couple of comments as well earlier on saying both teams looked like they didn't want to lose. And I agree with that. I think that there is...
I think with the managers, I think there's an element of like, even manager loses, it adds a bit of pressure. I think even after Paris, I think Ollie, if he loses 3 of his first 5 league games, he's under pressure. And there's always an element anyway of the Pochettino fan brigade that don't want to there.
Yeah.
And with Lampard this season, the money they've spent, the fact that he's had his honeymoon period last season, I think he could have been under pressure as well. So maybe it is one of them. Maybe it's like, you know, there is a little bit in both managers' minds where they're not. I know we made positive subs, but we didn't go for it. Yeah. When you saw that 11, it wasn't like if he'd have started Mason, Cavani, Pogba, and all those players. You think he's really going for it. When he starts Dan James, when he plays 2 older midfielders, you think, is he got sort of a mastermind of saying, you know what, a point isn't a bad result?
Yeah, I think there definitely is that. I think that one of the things, especially with Cavani, especially with Tellez, I think that we've got probably another few days, and after then, I think that there can be no excuses about fitness and things like that. If players should now be fit, whether they've come in from a transfer or whatever. So Cavani, he should be playing. If we're missing a number 9, Cavani needs to be playing. Same with Tellez. I think that Tellez, especially in the games against the lower down teams, I think Tellez needs to be playing. So Arsenal next week, I think that you'd like to see Tellez come in there and add something different, add a bit of quality, because at the end there, you know, we saw Wan-Bissaka hit the first man with a few crosses. I thought he had an okay game, but you just want that added bit of quality, especially when you've added Cavani, someone that can win the ball in the air. I think you need someone else that can do that.
I will ask you about Cavani, little cameo there. We've finally seen him in a United shirt, wearing the number 7 shirt, of course. What did you make of his first, what was it, half an hour, whatever it was, for United? Didn't have a lot to feed off, but...
Not really, no.
What did you make of what you saw?
I mean, the first touch he had was nearly a goal. I think
that would have been amazing.
That would have been amazing. I think that kind of showed... You just saw there's a little bit of a striker's instinct there with him already. There's something he wants to stay within the 6-yard box. He did... I think he moved on to the fullback or whoever it was, gave him a little touch, moved off, created the space and nearly got the goal. I think that's what United do miss that a little bit in Martial. I think Martial's a fantastic footballer. I think Rashford, and as well, I think Rashford's a fantastic footballer, but I don't think they've got the same thing that someone like Cavani's got, which is they want to stay between the posts. Didn't really get much of the ball, but again, the game didn't create many chances. And with strikers like Cavani, even seen Harry Kane for Tottenham in the last 12 months. When there's no supply, when the game's a bit dead, they're not going to touch the ball a lot. They are going to be kind of freeload, just letting it go by. And I think that Cavani in maybe games against lower down teams where we need to get a bit more physical, put a few more crosses in. I think that's what
he'd benefit from Tellez, wouldn't he? Obviously,
hugely,
you know, it goes by any striker would, but
especially
someone like him, as you said, he's like that's got that poacher's instinct and he's good in the air. We saw against Paris what Tellez can do, and he's obviously someone who's going to put the ball into the box. Go on,
why was Ollie smiling though?
Yes, why is Ollie not sobbing hysterically after that 0-0 draw with Chelsea? How dare he smile? It's almost like he doesn't care about Manchester United. What do you want him to do there? I mean,
I don't know. I think
you can question his tactics. I'm not going to question the fact that he's smiling. I don't think he should be just looking miserable constantly.
No, I think that there's a lot of positives out of that game. I think his back four. Maybe Luke Shaw wasn't very good, wasn't the best, but Luke Shaw defensively, I think the back four itself was very solid. And when you've conceded 6 goals in your last home game, and we conceded, was it 3 against Crystal Palace as well, or 2 against Crystal Palace?
Yeah, it's 3, wasn't it?
You know, to get a clean sheet, I think there's got to be positives there. Against Chelsea weren't great today, but they're still a good team. You know, you still got a lot of quality up there. And to nullify them completely, I think that there's a lot to take out of that. Disappointed a little bit we didn't get going a bit more and create a few more chances and maybe nick a goal, but look, United needed to settle down a bit after the start of the season. I think that we are growing more into it.
Guys, don't forget as well to hit that like button, get involved in the comments, let us know what you thought of today's game. Did Ollie get it right? Is a point okay? All right, is it just like, you know what, that's not good enough? We need to improve on our league form this season, and that is an opportunity missed. Let us know what you think of that game and what you think of the tactics that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer employed, including his subs. One sort of, we'll wrap up this shortly. One sort of criticism that many people have, myself included, with Ole, has been his in-game management, making subs at the wrong time, some of his tactics when it comes to sort of how he's changed things around the game. But it made sense what he did today, even though it didn't quite work. Maybe you can say he should have done it a little bit earlier. But bringing Cavani in at that time, bringing Pogba in, and obviously bringing Mason in as well, who hasn't played a lot of football recently, it kind of made sense to me. I think, again, it just seemed like it was maybe not enough game time for each of them. Maybe he should have done it a little bit earlier.
I think as well, maybe there's a bit of that. But remember, I think Chelsea as well. Chelsea did like for like. They stuck to three at the back even towards the end. Yeah, they didn't really go for it at all. And I think that Cavani up against three centre halves was always going to struggle a little bit. And I don't know how you can struggle against three centre halves at times, especially when they started to sit back and back. And I think that, you know, it was a tough game for anyone to come on and impact it. The argument is, would you brought on Van der Beek instead of Pogba? Would that have made anything too much different? Van der Beek instead of Greenwood?
I think you have to be careful. I mean, putting Pogba on the bench is one thing. Bench even is one thing, but not even bringing him on in a game you're chasing. I think you're opening up a lot of issues there. Guys, we're going to wrap it up because, you know, there's not exactly a lot to talk about when it's a 0-0 at home. But it is a point, if we're going to be positive about it. It is a clean sheet. We are going to have the fan cams. We're going to have Adam McCall as well, giving us his reaction. We're going to have Joe. We're going to have Howson. We're going to have all the post-match reaction as well. So make sure you stay tuned to Stretford Paddock. That's been Alex Baggers. I've been Jay Motti. Thanks for watching.